So, Lenny, my name is Travis Brown. I'm with Horror Movies Uncut. I know we're probably not the usual platform to play a movie such as yours, but I am a huge film fan and I love passionate dramas. I'm a big fan of especially very well written, almost noir style dramas in a sense. And I think with Real Faces, we get to see this true story of growth with Julia. So I'm very excited to talk to you about this character and this film. And my first thing that I want to ask you, because I've actually just got back from Los Angeles and I saw a very wonderfully made film called Alice Hart. It's called Alice Hart. And it reminded me a lot of what we were seeing Julia go through because they're around the same age. And what I want to ask you is, what do you think is driving the resurgence of women-led narratives centered on self-discovery and personal growth? Because it seems to be a lot of these films being made recently.
Interesting question. I don't know. I cannot. Of course, we have not seen a lot of these narratives for such a long time, and I guess there's more awareness about it that they need to be there to understand also, life of a woman in that, in this city environment more. If I look at history, I don't see that many films like that. Of course, in Belgium we have Chantal Akerman, who also in New York, and her films are obviously, when you're coming from Brussels, where she was born, they're very inspiring. And there you can also find this existential and passiveness, but also poetic gaze at the world. And so she's an important example, I think. We're getting to see much more examples, not only for women, but for in general. There has been, again, a new conversation on the stories that are missing. And that we need to see to understand the world also better and to engage with each other.
Yeah, I personally feel also that like there's this feeling of like we're talking to the little sisters coming up behind us, like, hey, these films are important. Don't forget about these stories. Don't forget about these ideas and things like that, because they are stuff that can be passed on from generation to generation, especially a film like Real Faces, because it almost kind of shows a lot of different versions of Julia in this film. Is there a particular aspect of Julia's journey that resonates with you on a personal level?
A lot of it, I would say. I wish, for instance, that I was a more active, engaging person that knows her boundaries really well. And I'm working on that. And I guess it's something that I loathe sometimes about myself and that I also understand, but I'm learning to be better at it. And so I put this in her character as well, because I also don't believe that characters in general, that they're always like this active heroes that resolve a problem. They just live. And they do things right, they do things wrong, and they move through life, and hopefully they grow by getting older. That's why it's also a woman at the end of her 20s, so she's already grown up, but she still has to do a lot of work. I think I feel the same, like I'm a teacher also, and the next generation is really teaching me so much still, like millennials in general. I mean, we have issues. I don't know, like we were born and bred in this awful system, and I think the generation is much more aware and wants to do things differently.
For sure. So I'm so glad you brought up like industries, because I'm curious to the overall setting that Julie is in, because one of the things that's very attractive, I have a 16-year-old son, they're all attracted to like everything going on social media. You can buy it off of there, you can sell it off of there. Everybody's got stores and Etsy's and all this stuff is crazy. But I'm curious to what drew you to set the story in this like world of the perfume industry. Was that always the plan, or did you like consider some other settings to explore these themes?
No, I have to say, definitely for Julia's character, it was instantly set in the audiovisual sector. I think I had to release some demons on the sector that I work in.
Okay.
For instance, really being harassed by a first assistant on set on another fiction film where I was second assistant.
Okay.
You know, in the core, when you're in film school, it's all about like finding your voice and being creative and building your imagination. But then, of course, after school, you're hit with the system and also bringing your stories to commissions, where people also really start taking your ideas and molding it into their frame. So I guess I found that difficult, also because it is really an industry where you have to sell a product, and so that sometimes really makes it difficult to stay true to what you stand for. You really lose yourself a bit, because at some point you're not trusting your own instincts anymore. And so that definitely relates to what Julia is doing. And also this conflict between being authentic, because you have rapport with people a lot, where you can be yourself, but at the same time you're also complicit in the system that is sometimes completely at fault, or doesn't take everything into account that is important.
Right.
And yeah, I wanted to speak about systems in general, but I think the audiovisual sector, because I know it was perfect for me to talk about.
Yeah, and I love the fact that I kind of grew up in the modeling world, so I love the fact that you had all the various people and you got to be able to show this myriad of beautiful people, like, and I think it was super important to see their reactions to like how everything was being laid out in front of them. I thought it was super important. Leni and Gorgeous, they are both very, very incredible in the film. I really love Elliot's character. He's great. How much freedom did you give them to shape their characters, or did they just fully embrace your direction from the start?
Okay, let's talk about Gorgeous first, because with him we did a rewrite on the script. In his character, to make sure that all the details felt true to him. He also studied really the lichenologist that was a specialist on lichens. That was explaining, and that was this so nerdy kind.
It was great. It was so great. It's so nerdy and great.
And Gorgeous was taking a lot of this person that he was learning from about life. So he was observing that character to become also forming his character. Then on set, I have to say it was at some point we really had a discussion, because he wanted to fully transform into this character. And for me, I realized it's very important that people, when they're acting, that they still give a lot of themselves. And so there we had at some point a debate, because I was constantly pulling him back, like smaller and smaller, and he was like, let me play. So we needed to find a balance for that, and I think in the end we did. And I love how the character then got finalized. And I never did a casting, not with Gorgeous, not with Julia, with Leonie. Actually sitting right across me. Hello.
Hey, Leni. Great job in the film.
With both of them, I sat down and we just had a conversation on the script, and then I realized how they related to the story and the characters, and that's how we started working. With Leonie, it was quite special, because I still didn't fully understand the character myself, and I only started to understand it when we finally started shooting. But I do give, I hope the actors the liberty to search. But at the same time, it's also technical and still like, okay, there's some stuff.
You got, you sometimes your own time restraints and stuff like that. You got to make sure you're getting after it. Totally understand that. I really appreciate your time. I'm not going to take too much of your time, because I know you have another one of these to do, and I have a couple more of these to do also.
All right.
But I really appreciate it. The film is great. There seems to be this kind of growing interest in stories that highlight deep platonic relationships. Do you think audiences are ready to embrace more films like Real Faces?
I hope so. I mean, for instance, Past Lives is one of these films that's like exploded.
Yes.
And I do understand why. I mean, we need films about people that connect, and especially in times where people can get easily isolated, and where also social media is taking over and is installing these narratives. And it's good to know that these encounters will continue to form. It's also what the city gives to you, like these encounters that happen. I think it's relatable, and maybe that's why.
Yeah, for sure. Where do you see Julia and Elliot's journey going beyond this film? Like, where do these characters go from here?
Julia has a long way ahead of her. I think she will have to, not leaving that place was in the end also not such a good idea, I think. So she will have some troubles after the film ends, I think. But at least she will approach it differently. With Elliot, it's very obvious from the beginning. He has had a very clear idea of where he's heading. Yeah. I think he's going to be very absorbed in this world of doing a diversity mapping in Greenland, which is important to him because, of course, Greenland, as you know.
Yeah, and hopefully he can keep Donald Trump from out of there too.
Yes, like he's going to have the battle with Trump.
Right. What's next for you as a filmmaker? Do you have any upcoming projects you're excited to share?
Yeah, I've been working on a script for 2 years for the next film, and we would like to get it to development. So when I get back home, I'm going to start rewriting with Vincent, my co-writer.
What kind of project is it?
It's an existential horror film.
Yeah! You have to make sure you keep us posted. I mean, tell me I'll be chasing after her to chase after you to make sure I know what this film is.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah, because if you like, I love this, Leni, because the fact that like what you're able to do with real faces, like I'm so excited because I'm like, I would love to see what she would do with just a very weird, out there visceral horror film. So I'm super excited about that.
Well, let's see where it's going. But
let's go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck. Have fun with the rest of your day. Go enjoy the sun and all the atmosphere, everything that Austin has to offer. And best of luck with everything going on with Real Faces. We'll talk to you again in the future, I hope. Okay.
Yes. Thanks for this conversation.
You're very, very welcome. Have a good rest of your day.